Hi again. In yesterday's video I shared with you a few ideas and principles about marketing and lead generation. And in today's video I want to share with you a couple of tools that you can use straight away to help you convert more of those leads so that you can win more often in the great game of sales. My name is Kevin Gallagher from Momentum Performance Coaching, and we help business owners take control of their business so they can have more of a life. Welcome to another tried, tested and proven tip. So I'm going to presume that you would like, and why wouldn't you, to dramatically improve your conversion rate from inquiry to paying customer. Now a great tool to help with that is the formula for transformation. And when you sit that alongside the number one skill of all the top salespeople, it's the equivalent of putting your sales meetings on steroids. Now this formula is not only for sales, but you can actually use it in lots of different situations where you want to influence someone. Your partner, your kids, your customers. In actual fact, truth be known, I would suggest that if you really want to transform your sales results and your influence, you get this formula tattooed to the inside of your eyelids. For transformation to take place, change needs to take place. And you need to be transporting someone from where they are to where they would prefer to be by using your product or service. So the formula is F for frustration times O for outcome plus COFS, which is clarity of first steps. Now if you were to score each of these out of 10 combined, they would need to add up to more than the right hand side of the equation, which is R, which stands for resistance. So let's dive in and take a look at this a bit deeper. F stands for frustration, and in particular, how frustrated are they now whilst not in possession of your product and service? O is the outcome they would achieve by having your product or service, how happy they would be. So what you do is multiply these two by having scored them out of 10, and you'll end up with a score somewhere between 0 and 100. Then you can add to that score out of 10 for the clarity of the first steps. Now it's amazing how many businesses get this bit wrong. You want to make it really simple for the customer to see the first steps clearly. So you add those scores together, and if you have maximum scores, you'll have a total of 110. Now it's highly unlikely you will have 110 because when you first approach a customer, their level of frustration, unless you catch them at the perfect moment, will more than likely be low. So let's imagine I'm trying to sell you a utilities package. Now at the point that I contact you, you're probably not too frustrated because at that actual point in time, utility is not on your radar. It's not in your conscious awareness. So let's give that a nice low score of 2. And because they're probably not looking for a better outcome, that score will be low as well. So let's give that a 2 as well. Now in terms of utilities, their last experience of change of supplier wasn't so good. First steps they had involved ages filling out online forms, and if they had a problem, getting to speak to an operator was hard work. So you might only score 1 in that area. That now gives you 2 times 2 plus 1 equals 5. And when they last switched utilities, they had to pay to get out of their previous contract. And they also had some surcharges to pay, so their resistance to a new supplier could be really high. So let's leave that as 100. So that means on one side of the formula you've got 5, and on the other side of the formula you've got 100. What are the chances that a sale will take place? Pretty low, I'm sure you'd agree. So the way you're going to get this formula to work for you is to use the number one skill of great salespeople, and that is to ask great questions. So let's look at that frustration again, where they were scoring just 2, and what you want to do is to raise their level of frustration. Now if you were to ask them the question, tell me about your present supplier, you may not get to lift that frustration, but if you were to ask them what's the biggest challenge or frustration you have with your present supplier, what you will do is send their brain on a search for specific examples. And they may say, for instance, well actually they're really slow at giving refunds, to which you can ask, what impact does that have on them? Well, you know what? It means I'm out of pocket for weeks, but they hold all the cards. Another great question to ask here is, what else, or tell me more? Open up the conversation to more frustrations they may be feeling. It go like, well, now you've asked, They're not prepared to bend at all. I have a problem with cash flow, they just threaten to disconnect me. Wow, what impact does that have on you? Well, that really frustrates me, and it means I have to go without somewhere else in my life because I can't do without electric, gas or broadband supply. Now your next question is really important because we make decisions based on emotion. So you ask, how does that make you feel? And what you're doing here is mentally putting them back in that really frustrating situation. That could go something like this. So let me see if I got this right. Your present supplier is really slow at giving refunds, yet when you have a cash flow challenge, they're really quick to threaten you with disconnection. How does that make you feel? Well, it makes me feel really angry. It gets me annoyed. I get really wound up. So now their frustration score has probably gone up. Should we say to an 8? So now you've got them dipping their toes in the low feelings their current situation gives them. Now is the time to look at what a perfect outcome would look like to them. How would their life change and be better as a result of them having your product or service? It's time to lift them up. And you do that by, guess what? Asking great questions. And a great first question, and one which gives you permission to offer an alternative, is to ask, how important is it for you to change? By using the for you, you're making it personal to them. And you're also positioning the need to change. And this triggers their brain into thinking about a brighter future. Well, you know what? Thinking about it, it's really important that I change. I don't want to go through that anymore. Okay, so how would you feel if you had a supplier that would eradicate the need for refunds, because they get your bill right first time, and in the rare occurrence that they did get it wrong, would make sure the money was back in your account within 24 hours? And when you had cash flow issues, would offer you extended and easier payment terms, which could include payment holidays. Whew. Well, that'd be great, wouldn't it? One less thing to worry about, and that would give me total peace of mind. So now the outcome score will have risen. So let's say that's gone up to 8 as well. And now we have a score of 65. Now you're in a strong place to present your first steps and see how simple it would be to get started and to make the switch. So instead of saying, well, for you to get started, all you need to do is fill in some online forms, which will just put them straight back in their frustration. Instead ask, does it make sense for us to have a conversation about how we can make this easier for you? The for you is really important part of that question because you're personalising it. So the first step is really easy. We just need to have a conversation, no more than 10 minutes, so that we can tailor a package that best suits your needs. And now you're up to 74 versus 80. You're nearly there. All you need to do now is lower that resistance score. And there's lots of ways of doing that. You could position it. I'll tell you what we'll do if you decide to go ahead. We'll take care of everything. We'll fill all the forms in for you during a conversation that takes no more than 5 minutes. And we'll also pay your release fee from your previous contact. We want to make sure that it's as simple as possible for you. Their resistance will now start to lower. So let's just say we get that down to a 70. And if you could add the next magic ingredient, you'll dramatically lower that score. And that magic ingredient is a guarantee. Take the risk of doing business with you away from them. So what we'll guarantee to you is that if we get your bill wrong, we'll give you 1 month free, no questions asked. Or if we don't deliver on our promises, you can step away from this with no fees. Now the key with a guarantee is to make sure you give it to them in writing, not just in word. So it could go like this. So we'll take care of everything. We'll fill out all the forms, we'll pay you a release fee from your previous contract, and we'll guarantee that if we fail to deliver on our promises, you can step away, no fees, guaranteed. Let's say that now brings their resistance down to say 20. Now you can comfortably make the sale. Simples. So, tattoo this formula to your eyelids, find their frustration with their present circumstances, discover what would be more compelling outcome for them in the future, paint some really clear first steps, and design systems and processes to lower their resistance as much as possible, take the risk away from them. Now remember, this is all built around the number one skill of those greats of sales, asking great questions. To further those skills, some of the books you might want to take a look at are The Spin Selling Workbook by Neil Rackman, Questions That Sell by Paul Cherry, Anything by Andy Bounds is superb, Influence by Robert Cialdini, and take a look at Jeffrey Gitomer and Jack Daly. They're great. It only works, so give it a go. Take this from theory to practice to mastery. You'll thank me later. If you've got any comments, drop them in the comments box below. Share this with anybody who you know would benefit from watching it. Thank you for taking your precious time to watch it. I'll see you in the next one. Now go out and make it a cracking day.